What's going on, guys? Welcome back. My name is Dustin, and today what we're going to be doing is we are going to make it so that when we attack our enemy, he can actually get hurt by our sword, because as of right now, we have our attack animations all set up, but they're not really actually doing anything for us in the game. So first thing we want to do is I want to add on to our slash animations. I want to add a box collider on these. So what we're going to do is on our slash up, we have all of these four different swords. We want to, on our slash up, we want to add a new game object. So we're just going to create an empty object, and we are going to call this object hitbox, like that. And on this hitbox, we're going to add a component, and it's going to be a box collider 2D, and I want to set this to be a trigger. Um, so what I want to do is um, go into our scene view so we can see this, and this just creates this green little box collider around our player. So what I want to do for the moment is on our first sword animation, I'm just going to go ahead and activate that really quick, just so that we can see it. And on our hitbox, we're going to reposition this so that it covers where we want to hit the player at. So on this offset section over here, I'm going to drag it up on the y-axis just a little bit. I want to make the size of this on the Y just a little bit smaller, like that. And I think that's good. So we're just gonna do that. So I'm just gonna set this to a clean point. Let's say 7.5. Nah, 0.8 is good. And on the Y, 0.75, 0.8 maybe. Nah, 0.75 is fine. So just like that, that's what we want to do. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and duplicate this hitbox here just by selecting it and hitting Control D, and I can drag this down onto our slash down animation, and let's activate that one so that we can see it. Highlight the hitbox, and we can just change this offset here to a negative 0.8. No, that's not really going to work very well because that does not bring it all the way down. So let's just drag it down a little bit farther. I want to keep the size of it the same. And I want to drag this just over a little bit, like that. Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and deactivate these two so they're not in the way anymore. I'm going to change this so that that one is no longer there. We're going to duplicate that again, drag it onto our slash right, activate our sword animation, and I want to move, let's just set these back to 0 here, change the offset over here to the right of our player. I'm going to set our size on the y-axis back to 1, and the size on the x-axis to 0.75. You can drag this guy over here on the y-axis down some so that it matches up with our sword. And that is all we really need to do there. I'm going to change the name of the hitbox so that 1 is no longer there. Deactivate our sword. Duplicate the hitbox again. Put it onto our /left. Close those really quick so they're not in the way. Change that so the 1's not there anymore. Activate our sword. And then move this over here on the x-axis and drag it up so it matches up. Just like that. I'm going to set that to -1. And this can actually just be set to 0. Just like that. Perfect. So now what we need to do after we deactivate our sword, so this hitbox, actually all 4 of these hitboxes are currently active. And we don't necessarily want them to be active all the time. So, because what's going to happen is we're going to walk into our enemy, and without even attacking him, he's going to take damage. So, right away, we're going to deactivate all 4 of those hitboxes. And we are going to reactivate them in our animator. So, if we open up our animation, let's go to our /down animation. And I want to, on our first frame of this, let's find our /down animation, which is this guy right here. So let's hit record, like that. And on our first frame, we're going to select our hitbox and activate it. Just like that. And now we want to deactivate it right here at this very last frame right there. Just like that. When we're deactivating our sword, we no longer want our hitbox to be active. So and then we can hit the record button again to stop recording, and I just want to make sure that over here where it's showing everything that's going on, that our hitbox is active at the beginning of the frames. It stays active throughout all 4 frames. And then on the last frame, it is no longer active. So I'm going to do that for all 4 of our animations. So let's go ahead and go to /left, drop this down, hit record, make sure we're on the first frame, select hitbox, activate, select the last frame, deactivate, and hit the record button again. And then I'm going to double check every single time I do this, because last time when we were making these sword animations, it was doing something kind of weird over here. So I just want to make sure that this is working the exact way that I want it to. So our hitbox is active in the first frame, still active throughout all 4 frames, and on the very last one it is deactivated. So perfect. Let's go to our /right. Close this down, open up our /right, hit record, select the hitbox and activate it. And all the way on the last frame, let's deactivate it and hit record again. And then just double check that all of this is working properly. Looks like it's not giving us any trouble this time, which is great. And now let's move to our /up and hit record, select the hitbox, activate it, and deactivate on our last frame. Just like that. And I'm just going to check one last time to make sure that all this is working perfectly. So great. Looks like everything is in fact working perfectly. So now that we have these hitboxes in place, let's make them actually do something. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new script. So we're going to go into our scripts folder, right click, create a C# script. And we're going to call this script hurt enemy, like that. And I want to attach this script to all 4 of our hitboxes. So I'm going to open up all of these, and I'm going to drag this onto our first hitbox, close that so I don't accidentally drag on 2 scripts, add it to our next one, add it to our third, and add it to the 4th, just like that. So now, let's open up this new script, and now we want to make it do something. So what do we want it to do? We want it to hurt our enemy. So what we're going to do is, actually this is going to be really simple. So underneath our update function, we're going to create a new function called void on trigger enter 2D. And I'm not sure if we've used on trigger yet. I don't think we have. We've used this on collision, enter, stay, and exit. But I don't think we, oh no, we used, okay, so we used on trigger on our area transition. So we're basically going to be doing something very similar to this guy right here. So we're going to say on trigger enter 2D. We're going to change collision to other. And all we're going to do is we're going to say if other dot tag is equal to enemy. And we haven't actually set this enemy tag yet, so let's go back into Unity really quick. And on our skeleton, we scroll all the way to the top in the inspector, it is untagged. We can just drop that down and select, we don't have an enemy tag already preloaded in here, so we're just going to add a tag here and select this little plus button, and we're going to call this enemy, just like that. So now we can go back onto our skeleton and select that enemy tag. So now, for now, all I want to do is just say if other.tag equals enemy, then we want to destroy other.game object, just like that. So let's go ahead and save that, go back into Unity, wait for it to compile, and let's hit play and see how this works. So we are able to attack, and if we go up to our enemy, we can attack him, and he is gone. Perfect. So that is really exactly all we wanted to do for the moment. So now what I would like to do is, instead of making it so that every time we hit him he just dies, I want to give our skeleton some health. So the first thing that I want to do is our enemy controller script. I'm going to actually change the name of this enemy controller script to skeleton, just because we don't want all of our enemies to have the exact same functionality. We want to have different types of enemies doing different things and whatnot, and maybe later we will create a new enemy controller script that holds some basic information for all of our enemies. But for now, we just want this script, since it's pretty tailored to just our skeleton. I'm just going to name it skeleton, like that. And what we need to do is, in Visual Studio, we need to go onto our enemy controller script, which is not open. So let's open that right back up. And it still has this enemy controller name up here for our class. We just want to change that to skeleton. Like that, and then just save it so that nothing weird happens with the scripts and whatnot. So now that we have this script specific for our skeleton, let's go ahead and create a new script. So let's right click in our scripts folder, create C# script, and we're going to call this enemy health manager. And then this script is going to be on all of our enemies going forward. So let's go ahead and just attach that to our skeleton and open it up. So in here, we want to do basically the same thing that we did in our player health manager, or in just our health manager. We are going to want, let's say, public int current health and a public int max health, like that. And then we're going to create a new function underneath our update function, and we're going to say public void hurt enemy. And then that's going to pass in an int called damage to give, like that. So now inside of the brackets here, we're going to say current health minus equals damage to give. And then we're just going to say if current health is less than or equal to 0, then we want to say game object dot now we're going to say destroy game object, like that. So let's save that, and we need to also go into our hurt enemy script, and we need to change in here because we do not want to destroy our enemy in this script. We want to make some changes on how we affect the skeleton's health. So at the very top, we're going to create a public int damage to give, and we are just going to actually just set that to 2 for now. 2. And then down in here, we want to add in, we want to create a reference to that enemy health manager, but only when this trigger is activated. So we are going to say enemy health manager, and we're going to call it e health man, and then we're going to say that it is eHealthMan is equal to other.gameObject.getComponent, and the component is enemy health manager. So now that we have our reference, we just want to say that we just want to call this function here that hurts our enemy the same way we are hurting our player. So we will just say eHealthMan dot hurt enemy, and we want to pass in damage to give, just like that. So let's go ahead and save that. Go back into Unity, wait for it to compile, and then let's look at our skeleton, scroll down to our enemy health manager script and give it some health. So let's just go ahead and set it to 10 for our current health, and 10 is our max health. And now if we hit play, if we watch our health, every time we hit our enemy, that should go down by 2. So there's that. Went down by 2, went down by 2. Perfect. And it disappears once it hits 0. So that is exactly what we want to do. So now it's a little odd not being able to visualize that enemy getting hurt. So basically what I want to do is set that flash that we have on our player on our enemy as well. So what we can do is on our health manager, I want to copy a lot of this functionality into our enemy health manager script. So what we can do is we can copy all of this, copy that, paste that into our enemy health manager right here. I'm going to rename this to enemy sprite, and actually what we can do, I'm going to switch this back to player sprite for the moment. Go back in here, let's copy this line here, put it in our enemy health manager, and then everything here in this update here that deals with our flash, let's copy all of that, including that last little bracket actually. It'll scroll down, so copy all of that, paste that into our update function here, and then we also want to take all of this right here in our hurt player, copy that into our hurt enemy. Just like that. So now what we need to do is, the reason why I switched this back to player is because we have all of these places where we're calling that variable, and it would be just a hassle and a half to change all of these individually. So what we can actually do is, I think we did this before for another variable at some point, but what we can do is just highlight this whole variable here, hit Control RR, and that'll allow us to just rename that entire variable, and it'll rename that all throughout the script. So we can just call this enemy sprite, hit enter, and then anywhere we used that player sprite, it is now set to enemy sprite. So now I think that is all we need to do for that. And so let's go ahead and save this, go back into Unity, and let's test this out. What's going on here? I missed a semicolon on our enemy health script. Oh, right here. Just like that. So let's save that again. Go back into Unity, wait for this error to disappear, and let's see this in action. So let's walk over to our enemy and hit him, and it is not doing anything. Why is it not doing anything? Because I believe we don't have this flash length actually set. So what did we set it to here? We set it to 0.5, so I'm going to do the same thing here, set that to 0.5, and let's try it again. See what happens. Perfect. So now we have our enemy flashing every time he gets hit, and after his health goes down to 0, he disappears and dies. So that is exactly what we want. And I think that's going to do it for this video. If you are enjoying the series, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. Hit the bell notification icon so you get notified every single time I release a new video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this series, what you want to see in the series, what you think you can do better than me in this series. And I will see you next time.